Good afternoon, my friends. This is the Grim Flayer. Hope you're all doing very well today. And it is time for a donation league. We've got a lot of them going on in this month of February. This is the latest one, and this is Stock Rock. This donation league is brought to us by an Of the Veil tier supporter named Alan Lambert, and Alan is the absolute man, just a great all-around dude, very, very cool, and a top-class supporter. And if it wasn't great enough just having Alan around as a supporter getting a donation league every 2.5 months, as you do when you're an Of the Veil tier supporter, he, for his donation league, requested that we just play what I used to do like 100% of the time on this channel back in the good old days, which is a classic stock Golgari mid-range list in Modern. So that's exactly what we're doing here. The list that we settled on is kind of a halfway point between the list that Alan has been playing and tuning and the list that, you know, a lot of people, there aren't that many Rock 5-0s these days. In fact, I think if you go to Goldfish, my 5-0 from the end of November is still up there in the recent 5-0. So that just goes to show you that we get relatively few 5-0s these days. But if you look at the 5-0s that have been coming up, a lot of them play a list similar to this, similar to the one that I 5-0'd with, and similar to what Alan's been doing, namely in that they don't look that streamlined, but I think they actually are. I think playing a lot of one of and maybe a two of here and there in terms of threats is actually where we want to be, simply because a lot of our threats, if you look at like Hex Drinker, Questing Beast, Tireless Tracker, which is not in this list, things like this, one or two others maybe could fall in this category. They're like, none is clearly better than the other, and they also tend to be awkward in multiples. Whereas we want to double down on the power of the core cards. Even though something like Bob can be clunky in multiples, we still want to double down on the power of the core cards. Bob, Scooz, Goyf, Liliana. Plague Engineer is a one of in the main deck, but also does get better in multiples, so we have that in the side. So yeah, it's basically a classic stock Golgari list, and we have, there were a couple things Alan was doing that I wanted to suggest modifications for. Namely, we just ended up lowering the curve a tad. So initially he had Kalidas and Vraska and QB in the main for a really powerful top end, if I recall correctly, but we've moved the two of those three to the side. I think QB is the most main deckable right now. And beyond that, you know, we wanted to tune the sideboard to MTGO. So we've got 3 Ashiok, 3 Fulminator for the big mana hate. We have only one Collective Brutality in the 75, which is a little unusual, but this was actually kind of my idea to finally get the Shadow Spear back in here on camera. Alan and I have had the same experience with Shadow Spear in that we've registered it and haven't really managed to draw it much. So I think the Rock is a really good home for it. We're going to see how it performs. Higher ceiling even than Brutality against aggro, hyper aggro, red deck wins. What else is interesting to point out? So Alan's mana base actually is a little interesting in that it plays a second Quagmire over a second Peatland, and I didn't suggest to change that because I actually kind of like it. I want to see how it does. Even in our relatively painless 2-color mana base, the second Peatland can be a real pain. No pun intended, a lot of the time. So we do have a one of Unearth also, which the meta's grindy enough, I think, where it's pretty good, and it gives us a little bit of selection, makes our one-ofs a little bit better, all that type of thing. Otherwise, it's a lot of the stuff you would expect, and let's go straight, my friends, into our league. I will show you the deck here while we're finding our opponent in Stage 1, and it didn't take us long, we're straight into it. Let's play. So thank you, as always, my friend Alan, for your very generous support. I do appreciate you, as I appreciate all Patreon supporters. Speaking of which, we also have to shout out Steven. No last name given, none needed. Steven is our newest supporter. He's an Inquisitor. Welcome aboard, Steven. Thanks to all Patreon supporters. And look at this. We're starting off with a bang with a completely unkeepable hand. Gotta send it back. Opponent on the play, keeping 7. This is a reasonable enough 6. I guess we're supposed to bottom QB. Part of me wants to bottom Trophy, but I think bottoming QB is the thing to do here. Feels bad. But let's see what we can do. It is a pretty medium hand overall, specifically on the draw, and we are against Burn, so right away we're being put to the test. We draw Hex Drinker. That's actually one of our... that's actually a really reasonable draw. I really just wish we were against Goblin Guide instead of Swifty, because we cannot block with Hexy. It'll certainly be a chump. Could still just die to a Searing Blaze here, so obviously Push or Inquisition would have been better. But you know what? We'll take it, right? It's something to do. We just need to draw low curve stuff right now. Looks like a Searing Blaze, though. Sure enough. Okay, this is actually perfectly reasonable because it lets us just play Goyf, and Goyf is actually good now. And that's what we're going to do. Unearth seems like it could play a pretty good role, actually, here. Our hand is shaping up, but we're still on the draw, having mulled, having no efficient disruption, really, against a burn deck, so it's not really where we want to be. Opponent will Helix us. Oh no, they're going to Helix the Goyf, so they're just going to double spell the Goyf. Obviously, that's a pretty big win for us. We draw Liliana the Last Hope. Not what we want to see. I think I'm supposed to Edict here. That gives us the best chance of getting multiple use cases out of Liliana. Like if their hand is too clunky to double spell this upcoming turn, or indeed triple spell, maybe we get something good out of their hand. Okay, they go Sunbaked Canyon. Pass. Alright. Well, Scooz is another pretty good draw here, so let's tick up. That's the tough call between Trophy and Last Hope. We'll see what they do here. So opponent weighing the options and just letting it resolve. Interesting. A big part of me wants to pitch Trophy. Because if we pitch Trophy, we can just go Unearth the Goyf, play the Scooz, and then maybe they're priced into bolting the Scooz, we can buy it back with Liliana. I think I'm going to do that. Obviously, it's a little risky. And obviously, Trophy's good at taking care of must-answer threats, or just maybe hitting the Sunbake Canyon eventually, but doesn't look like we're going to get to hit the Canyon. Right? So... well, I love the Burn matchup, guys. I think it's pretty fun, pretty cool. And we get to play it right away, so... opponent has Stomping Ground that they pitched, so they are on green on Naya. Interesting. Yeah, let's unearth our big old Goyf here. Unearth is underrated against Burn, especially, in Game 1 situations like this where like neither player is quite sideboarded. Skullcracking us. Interesting that they just fire up the Skullcrack. Another Scooz, huh? I guess that's better than playing Last Hope, so we'll tick up, we'll get rid of Last Hope here. Searing Blaze stuck in the hand, nice. And we also grow the Goyf this way. Yeah, Goyf is a 5/6 now. Cool. And if the opponent feels priced into like pointing a bolt at the Scooz here, that could be really good for us because, of course, we've got a follow-up. Main deck Skullcrack is interesting in a Naya build, especially. You'd think they would have fewer flex slots like that, not more, but... do we eat now? So if we eat now, we're doing 8. If we don't, we're doing 7. They're going to be at either 11. I don't think that matters. I think we would rather eat with our Scooz staying back, which is better against a top deck Goblin Guide, and or force them to make the first move here if they are considering bolting the board. We could have eaten main phase because they are on Skullcracks, but again, how many can they really be on main deck? So I think I'm just going to end step eat here. Aha, okay, punished. They had another Skullcrack. Well, fair enough. Okay, so the only creature to eat is Hex Drinker. I think putting the opponent to 8 is just, or to 4 is just as good as putting them to 2. So I think we're supposed to leave our 2/2 back. That way we don't die to Goblin Guide plus Lightning Bolt. Alright, or they'll just scoop. Sweet. Well, the Burn players like to go fast, so if we take too long on our decisions, they will just move to the next game, which is good for us. I think technically they had outs there. Like, they just crack a Canopy land and top deck double burn. I think we're still dead. But anyway, we're not. So that's cool. Opponent may be a little bit tilted because we drew like Scoozes and the Unearth lined up really well in game 1. Definitely can understand that. They definitely can feel a little bit aggrieved. But hey, like I like to say, we've got a lot of naturally good things against Burn. So these life gain things all have to come in for sure, and then we can play some number of these cards as well, depending on what we don't like. And we've got a lot of cards we don't like with the 4-Bob 3 Thoughtseize build. Is anything else a liability here? Last Hope is medium. Kind of about as medium as these other cards. I'm a little more inclined to play Fulminator against the 3-color deck. So why don't we bring in these? And then, is the second Plague Engineer better than the first Liliana? I think it is. Let's do it that way. It's just more proactive. We do have some degree of vulnerability to Rest in Peace if we get unlucky, especially with Unearth in our deck. I don't think it's like a haymaker against us, but we might as well hedge against it if we can. We could even cut a Liliana, like a 4th Liliana on the draw to play all 3 Plague Engineer, because again, they're better in multiples, but that's probably wrong. Liliana's still good against them, especially if they stumble. Like, she doesn't do much on the draw if they're curving out perfectly, but then again, neither will a 3rd Plague Engineer, I guess. So let's do it. OP keeping 7. We've got a great hand. We'll keep it. Turn 1 Rift Bolts. Okay. No creature is good news for us. Inquisition U. They have triple Eidolon and a Searing Blaze. Well, taking an Eidolon. Next turn we can Brutality it, take away the Blaze, and leave them with just another Eidolon, basically, which is, they're still going to get their money's worth out of it, but we can beat these Eidolons with our hand. And under some circumstances, like if we had an early Goyf, these Eidolons would actually be pretty bad, potentially, for them. It could really just go wrong for them, right? But that's not the situation. So we want to escalate all 3 modes. The big question is just what lands to pitch. I think I'm going to pitch Swamp Field of Ruin, but there's some incentives to keep all 4 of these lands. We want Critical Massive green for Scooz. We want Field of Ruin to disrupt their mana base. We could even want Swamp in case we draw a double black spell next turn, or we want to play Fulminator next turn. But I think I'm going to rate Quagmire highly enough to keep it, and I think I'm going to rate the green highly enough to have as much of it as I can. But it's a tough call. In any case, let's go ahead with that. Okay, they drew a white land. They're shocking it in. Ah, they drew Goblin Guide for turn. Okay, that's a little scary. Guide reveals Tarmogoyf. That's pretty good for us. I'm just going to play that. That's the play here for sure. All right, now we got a fade. Path to Exile, rest in peace. I think it's better to race. I do believe it's better to race here. They're dead in 3 hits. We even have Quagmire to block, which is obviously a lot worse, a lot more vulnerable to a blowout than other things, but yeah, we're just going to pass, planning to decay Eidolon. Forcing them to take as much damage as possible from their own Eidolon before we take care of it. Doesn't look like they'll take any here. Goblin Guide flips some value. Sure, we'll decay your Eidolon. Okay, we're at 9. Opponent with the 4th Eidolon. Alright, well, and the 4th land. Sure. I don't think we're fetching. We shouldn't really need to. Is it better to attack with Quagmire? Or to play Fulminator Mage? Or to block, or to do neither and just block with Fulminator? We also, by playing... Not quite. We don't quite have lethal next turn with double Grey Ogre plus Goyf. I think we're going to play Fulmy here. Like, Fulmy's really bad if they draw Burn, and if they draw Burn, their own Eidolon is bad. But if they block with the Eidolon, that's also just fine for us. Makes Fulminator a total free play here. They take it. All right. Wish we had a better spell than Grey Ogre here, but I think it's the play. OP draws Sunbaked Canyon. The redraw is alive. All right. We draw a trophy. Okay, so they have only 1 card in hand. We're at 7. We're going to 5 if we trophy something. Interesting. Like, if they have Boros Charm plus Burn Spell, we can, and they just block with, like, 1 creature here, we can die, so there's an incentive to attack just to take that option away. But giving them an attack back is almost as bad. This is a tough spot. I think I'm just attacking with Goyf. But I could see firing in with Fulminator here too. Alright, so we have a blocker and a removal spell. Opponent, oh, they have the Boros Charm, okay. Well, So if they draw Burn, we're dead, but since they blocked with Eidolon anyway, our attack doesn't change that. They draw Burn. Unreal. Unreal. Pretty unlucky there, guys, but I think we probably gave ourselves the best chance. Literal nothing besides 2 burn spells, 1 being Boros Charm, gets them there. I mean, rest in peace, maybe, if we bricked again and they extended the game. But otherwise, yeah, Path to Exile, rest in peace. Otherwise, yeah, they needed Boros Charm and Burn. They got them both. Shows you how good the Canopy lands are in Burn. They would have just been dead in the water if they didn't have that redraw. They had an unconventional progression, but one that was, just barely good enough to get over the line. Feels bad. Especially because we had a pretty decent one ourselves, but we definitely flooded out and braked out at the end. But like Inquisition, Brutality, Tarmogoyf, that was all good. Nothing else really to do here. Run it on back. Wouldn't you love to be 1-0, 2-0 right now? I know I would be. Ooh. Risky keep, but we've got amazing stuff, including Shadow Spear. Ooh. High risk, high reward. What a hand, though. What a hand. Borderline decision here. The main reason to consider mulling is because our matchup is pretty good. We're on the play. I think we should mull, but man, that feels bad to mull some of that stuff away. Okay. This is a better 6, honestly. Almost. It's not because it doesn't have a threat, but it's a great 6. We're going to bottom Fulminator here. Rift Bolt, Searing Blaze. I think we're supposed to leave the Blaze in hand. Their hand's pretty poor, but our hand doesn't line up well against their lack of creatures. Okay, we're just going to deploy our Shadow Spear. Hold up push, it's not bad. Alright, let's draw any threat. Scooz is a threat. But it's not really one we just want to run into Searing Blaze. So I think I'm going to say go here. It really sucks to just be doing nothing, spinning our wheels. This is why we need an early body. But we've made some land drops. Alright, they are giving us a field target, which I thank them for. Boros Charm the face. Yes, I see why. So there's no reason to field them now because they have other white lands in hand. So why don't we just say go? It's unclear what land we want to get anyway. Okay, they're just gassing out. Just completely gassing out here. Oh my goodness. Alright. So we still know their hand. I think we've got to get a black land here because Scooz just doesn't have any targets to eat anyway. Liliana of the Veil. Alright, I'm gonna play her. It's gonna get action out of their hand. Either Sunbait Canyon or Searing Blaze. And then maybe we can draw a land and play Scooz into Shadow Spear. Because it's 2 to equip. They choose to keep the Canopy land over the Blaze, which I think is wise. Collective Brutality, huh? Yeah, I think I am not playing it quite yet, and I'm also not activating Liliana. This is just a grizzly bear, but maybe they have to point something at it anyway, because it's about to be equipped with Shadow Spear. It will Skullcrack us. Okay, we're dead to a Boros Charm or to double burn. But if we can live, we can start connecting with the Shadow Spear. They found land Searing Blaze? Really? Really? Like, those were some opportunities to brick, but because they came together, yikes. Oh, okay. We find a 1-drop that we can equip Shadow Spear to. Even if we just drain them right now, we're dead to most burn. I'm going to, therefore, do this. Oops, no. No, not leveling you up. I will equip you. We need them to brick for 1 turn. And then we should be in a really good spot. But they never, ever bricked in these final 2 post-side games. Unreal. Their hand was just nothing. It was just 3 burn spells, and we took 1 on T1. But when you never stop gassing out, that'll happen. Man, that is rough. I think our burn matchup's totally fine. We were unlucky to mulligan. We were unlucky with a really clunky hand. Like, our stuff was just not pairing well together. Like, we drew stuff that did not synergize at all there in Game 3. We're pretty favored there. But this is what can happen. You know, Burn is a powerful deck just because it is that consistent, right? I like everything we did. Obviously, I could look back and maybe you guys see something, but I like being conservative with activating Liliana. If we had ticked up, though, and lost a Fatal Push, it would have stopped them from having the luxury, maybe, of cracking that on their end step. Or no, I think they were Hellbent with that Sunbaked Canyon. Yeah, so that wouldn't have changed anything, if I recall correctly. That would have drawn them into... I mean, the fact that they hit land Searing Blaze, unbelievable. Literally unbelievable. And they just never gave us 1 bad turn of draws for Breathing Room. So I don't think we should read much into that loss, besides the fact that it just sucks that we lost it. Good games, though. Well played to the opponent. And we're on to round 2. Wonder if the opponents, like, sided out Goblin Guides against us. That's something that Burn players sometimes do. This hand looks great. We're going to keep. Looks like we are against Gift's Storm, if I had to guess. Spire Bluff Canal into Serum Visions into 1 top, 1 bottom. All right. So Last Hope is way worse than the other Liliana would be here. They've got a 2-lander, they've got Baral. Unfortunately, we pretty much have to take Baral here because we don't have removal. But they can put together some stuff. It's pretty bad to leave them with the Grape Shot in a way. And attacking the Rituals is actually pretty live simply because they're on a 2-lander. But we are priced into Baral. This is what happens when you don't have a removal spell in your hand. Like, if we just had Push, I would take something else. Play Treetop, push the Baral next turn. OP top deck Sleight of Hand. And they play a Steam Vent, so we know they have a third land in hand. I think I'm going to play Goyf here. Sometimes I would play Bob, but they can just kill Bob very easily with a Grape Shot. Whether, kind of regardless of what else they do. So, yeah, Unearth, sure. Now, they can be fairly vulnerable game 1 to Skoos, so I think I'm going to play Skoos over Bob, but now it's more... I mean, our hand is so flush with action, but it's also so clunky that I want to just draw lands and more spells off of Bob, obviously. So you could really go either way here, but I think we're going to jam Skoozy. It's not a great time to be choked on mana, being on the draw here. End step Ritual Gifts. Yep. We have had no real way to disrupt this, even if we had had the luxury of taking one ritual. Turn 1, they had another, so they were just always going to do this unless we drew a Thoughtseize. Okay, hope you've taken a little while on the gifts. Makes you wonder if it's going to be a non-traditional gifts pile. Maybe in the face of Skoos that becomes relevant, but okay, Remand, Repeal, Baral, Serum. So we know they have the... We don't know they have the 4th land, right? They played Scalding Tarn, so we don't know whether they have the 4th land or not. We know they have Ritual Grape Shot. I don't think we can really give them Baral still. So why don't we bin the Baral and then bin the Repeal? Because Repeal is annoying when we're clunky like this. Remand is annoying too, obviously, but like we have the board present, so I'm less worried about Remand. So we'll bin Repeal and Baral. They have Remand, Serum in hand. They're about to untap. Interesting decisions on both sides of the table. This is a pretty fun matchup for that reason. I don't mind the Storm deck at all. I think it's pretty cool. So we're playing against two matchups where I think we're a little bit favored, and I kind of like the playstyle that our deck has to adopt for them. But we didn't win round 1, and certainly this round 2 is anyone's game. I think they're in a better position right now than us, but we could get there. We just want to draw lands, basically. They're going to Grape Shot our Skoos. That's pretty good for us. If that's the best they could put together, their shield's down for a man, we get to Unearth it. Unearth looking really good so far this league. And they don't have another land either. So a big part of me wants to just Unearth and then also play Bob. Because that's just getting everything under Remand, and then we are forcing them to have like another removal spell for Skoos. They shouldn't really be able to go off next turn unless they for some reason slow rolled a mana bear, and then they also draw the 4th land. I don't really see it happening, so I'm going to be really proactive here. We're going to get the Skoozy back. We're going to get the Bobby down. We're going to take him to Beattown. Again, wish we drew a land here instead of yet another clunky Planeswalker, but it's all right. Hopefully it's all right. Okay, opponent does hit the 4th land. But no mana bear, they're going to kick off with a sleight of hand. Fetching down to 11. Serum Visions. Okay, so it's a setup turn, which obviously is pretty good for them. And they're probably going to pass holding up Remand. Unless maybe they draw a mana bear and then they want to just, like, make us have removal. But this is why we took such a proactive line last turn, because we've got an overwhelming board presence now. They're going to be dead in 2 turns. Or, I mean, technically they're dead on board with Treetop Village. We could always just go for that, too. A little riskier. But is it even riskier? Let's see what we draw. We draw a land, and we draw a land. Alright. No lands, and then 2 lands at once, and not the best. But we've got exactly lethal if we attack in with a Treetop Village. I guess that's probably what we're supposed to do. Seven, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. Turn 5 kill. Pretty cool. Turn 5 kill with a bit of disruption on the way, but mostly just being proactive, turning them sideways. That piece of disruption was crucial, though. We would definitely be dead right now if we had not Inquisitioned that Baral away. Good times. Good times. Alright, Ashiok hits their graveyard and shuts off Gifts Ungiven? Right? Yeah. I just, like, weirdly haven't played against Storm with Ashiok in my deck. Maybe I have. Maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe I've just gone mad. But I'm feeling, like, weirdly unsure about that. But yeah, I believe... Yeah, they searched their library, so... Of course. Nile Spellbomb also serves a pretty good purpose here, but we don't necessarily want to commit too hard to the Grave Hate, so maybe we won't bring in all 5 of those cards. Don't really need anything from this category. Plague Engineer and Collective Brutality are very good. Those are kind of our best cards here in some ways. Plague Man, of course, to clean up the Empty the Warrens tokens. So... Last Hope and Trophies are pretty bad. I don't mind leaving in Decays as much because they could be on Aria of Flame, and it also is not a bad way to kill the Mana Bears. Yeah, don't know about Unearth. It was really good there, but I don't know about it. I think everything else we're pretty much supposed to leave in. You could side out like a Decay too, but okay, we'll consider Decay and Unearth. We have at least 1 free card to bring in, so let's bring in at least 1 each of Spellbomb and Ashiok. I think that's a fine hedge. I'm not sure which one is better, so I think splitting them is fine. I'll play with only 1 Decay, get a little bit more tempo-oriented here on the draw with this Unearth. I think that's fine. Yeah, I think that's all fine. It's possible that Ashiok is better than Spellbomb overall just because shutting off Gifts Ungiven is such a big deal. I'm not sure. You guys can chime in the comments if you'd like and let me know. Ooh. A bit of a risky keep. Our opening hands are really making us wonder today. It's got a lot of good cards, but it probably shouldn't keep a 1-lander. We'll send it back. This is a pretty terrible 6. Like, it just doesn't disrupt well enough. I'm gonna go to 5. Okay, I see things I like. Let's bottom a land and bottom a Fatal Push. Hopefully one Fatal Push will be enough disruption to get us to Ashiok. We have no threat and we're down 2 cards, so it's not good. This is sometimes why I keep the 7s, right? That need a little bit of help. I think we're going to shock in here and play the Spell Bomb. This lets us still deploy Quagmire next turn, either pushing or holding up Spell Bomb with the draw live as the case may dictate. And then we can play Ashiok on curve and try to just hose the opponent, basically. Hope we draw into more disruption that's recursive, like a Liliana. Uh-oh, turn 2 Ritual. Arya Flame. We don't have an answer to that. Now we gotta draw an answer to that. But if we do, we'll be good. We draw Swamp. Rough. So they can make short work of Ashiok with Arya, kind of incidentally. So Ashiok is no longer that good in the face of Arya Flame. Might still play it for lack of anything better to do, just like a free Graveyard Exile, and buys us a little bit of time. Maybe mills over some win conditions, luckily. I'm not gonna... I kind of want to crack Spellbomb now, actually. You know, maybe I will, just because we desperately need to find more action. Sure. We found Skoos. Like another thing that can't really do much in the face of Arya. Okay. Well, let's play Ashiok and let's mill, I guess. We're just strictly hoping to get lucky here. I realize that it's marginally worse to reduce the loyalty here in the face of Arya, but like they're going to do 2 and then they're going to do 3 with their next 2 spells, so I don't think it matters. We see Arkham's Astrolabe. What deck doesn't play this now? Holy moly. I didn't know Storm was on Astrolabe. Okay, so opponent just getting everything they want here. They're cantripping and getting free kills on Planeswalkers while they do so. Arya Flame, tough card to beat. When you can't kill it. Especially when it's ritualed out turn 2. That was rude. Literal triple cantrip for the opponent. Yikes. But I mean, what do we want? We were on the draw, we mulled to 5, and we're just going to play things that die to Arya? Is that really any good? No, it's not. It's really not. I think I would rather hold up Castle Lock Thwain here. As terrible as that is, taking 5 from Arya Flame's next spell, and then taking 5 from our own castle. We're also holding up Push in case they try to go off this turn. Beginning with a Mana Bear. Okay. Beginning with Monomorphos, a lot worse. There he is. There's the Burl. Okay, we get to push. I guess we will in response to this, even though it seems like it might kind of be the end of their turn. Okay, Ritual in response. Just for more damage, sure. So they are kind of out of ideas, mostly it seems, at least for that turn, but then again, we are taking 1,000,000 right now, or just about dead. Uh-oh. They're not done? Okay, GG. Another grape shot. Well, that kind of makes sense now, doesn't it? Okay, guys, well... That was our free win we gave them with that mulligan and with being unable to answer Arya. Now that we know for sure they're on that, I'm going to bring back my Abrupt Decay, probably just shave Unearth and run it back. We didn't draw Unearth anyway, so it's not like that corner case sideboarding decision changed anything. We were just never really going to win that one. Do we want to do anything else, though? Like, I could see, for example, cutting a Fatal Push here because we do have 2 Decays in there, and we're also on the play, so, like, Edict with Liliana, for example, is a live way to kill the bears. So what if we cut a push and bring in another Ashiok? I think I kind of like that. Ashiok was terrible there, but I think it's a pretty good card overall. I think playing 2 is pretty fine. Let's just keep a good 7 this time. You might wonder why I'm not playing Assassin's Trophy. It's because I already have more outs to Arya than they have copies of Arya, and Trophy is a terrible card in the matchup. Oh my god, and like another one-lander, but it's got 4 discard spells into Brutality into Lily. We have to keep this, right? Just rip their hand to absolute shreds. I'm gonna keep it. Our mulligans haven't been helping us lately, so let's keep a risky hand. Okay, Veil of Summer. Wow. So I guess Astrolabe more easily enables Veil. I don't know if it does anything else, but it sure does that. Gotta take the Veil. I guess we didn't have to this turn, but on the off chance they say they're just gonna pass and hold up Veil, yeah, we basically had to. Come on, land off the top. Blooming Marsh? Okay. It's a Dark Confidant. Wow, another Astrolabe, Grape Shot, Ritual, EE. Kind of interested in taking Ritual here, in case they draw Arya Flame, and also just generally working on the instants and sorceries in their hand. So let's do that. Come on, deck. Hit us that second land. Hit us that second land. We did. It's a tapped one, though. Whatever. We'll take it. Thought sees you. Opt Grape Shot EE, huh? Kind of want to take the opt. I think that's actually correct here. We did it. We have land number 2 on the field. It's a beautiful thing. I did wonder whether they would run out the Grape Shot there. Okay, we have now the 3rd land, and that's Liliana time, I guess, right? We just gotta jam Lily, make them have something. I don't know what the best pitch is here, but I guess we should get a Forest in case of Blood Moon. That's another thing that Astrolabe could be enabling. Guess I'm going to pitch Fatal Push here. There's a decent chance they just pitch EE, and then we'll be glad we kept our Bob. They just pitch Island, okay. Maybe they have a 4th land in hand anyway, or maybe they're just trying to give themselves the best chance. End step, our second main phase, Monomorphose. Interesting. I don't think that's correct, personally. I'm not a Storm player, though. I don't know why they wouldn't just untap. It's free. Like, it's a free spell. It replaces itself with mana. They can EE on 3 now. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh my god. Literally, their top 2 cards after all this were Ritual Gifts. Bruh. Oh my goodness. What's happening to us this league? That's alright, our position's still alright. But, I mean, are there any 2 better top decks? Like maybe, I don't know. Maybe Arya Flame's better? That's probably about it. Thinking about getting up and going to the bathroom while the opponent does this gift, so I think I will. Be right back, my friends. Alright, I am back. Gifts is about to resolve. Opponent wants to take Arya Flame, which we can't let them have, a land, and Veil of Summer and Serum Visions. Well, we definitely gotta bin Arya. And I suppose binning Veil is probably correct here too. Like, if we just draw a land, we get to do everything next turn. Sure, we'll just take away the value cards. So they got a 4th land, and now they can Serum on this turn, which is like a nice... That's a nice thing, but ultimately, like, we can still Brutality away that Grape Shot and play the Bob if we draw a land. If not, we'll have an interesting decision. Land's got to be untapped too, obviously. But if we draw a tapped land, maybe we can just pitch it. Either way, if we cannot do both, we're probably supposed to play Brutality next turn. Just like... Ooh, or Tarmogoyf. Wow. Jeez. That's like a really bad draw, right? Just in the sense that we wanted something that we could either pitch happily or just a land to dump out our hand. You know, why don't we tick up first? I guess pitching Bob. We'll see what they do here. If they pitch EE, I might just play Goyf. If they pitch Grape Shot, still think I'm just going to play Goyf. Just because Brutality could whiff. They're really hanging on like grim death to that EE. I think this is fine. Obviously, that was a bad draw. But we didn't know they were going to pitch Grape Shot here, so I rated Goyf over Bob, of course, just it doesn't die to Grape Shot, right? But here, Monomorphose, sure enough. I was hoping to, frankly, just see the EE come down for 2, but OP kicking it off with a Monomorphose here. A little scary. Is this EE on 3? It is. All right. And they'll crack it. Fair enough. Goyf is now 7-8, huh? Interesting spot here with Collective Brutality. We could just fire it off to check the hand. Or we could pitch this swamp and drain for 2, which actually still doesn't quite put them on a turn 2 clock, so I guess we won't do that. Or we could just save it and attack with Quagmire, which does put them on a turn 2 clock. On a 2-turn clock, excuse me. It's really hard to say. Really hard to say. But I'm leaning toward the attack. Hit for 9, you're dead. Even if they have like some way to like bolt the Quagmire next turn that we're worried about, we can just drain them next turn with Brutality. The opponent has to have absolutely a nut draw in hand and off the top. And it also has to be something in hand that could have been taken by Brutality had we done so, in order for us to get punished for this. So let's see what happens. But a 7-8 Tarmogoyf needs a friend, alright? We attack with the Quagmire, and they're facing lethal. Lovely. Alright. I'm happy with our play there. I'm happy with our result there. We're back on the board, guys, but we are, I don't think, getting the greatest amount of love from our opening hands and all that, but it's enough to keep us competitive. And I'm having fun. I hope you are as well. Stock Rock for Alan Lambert. Back to the basics. Literally, basic lands, as well as the core mission of the channel, the core purpose, making Rock Tier 1 again. You know what, guys? To be perfectly honest, I genuinely thought that Rock was better than Jund for a while. Genuinely thought it was a better deck, better positioned. But Modern Horizons with Ren and 6, I think it's going to be really hard to put that genie back in the bottle. I think Jund is now the better deck overall. Holy crap. Why can we not keep functional hands? You know what? I'm going to keep it. We've got push into Bob. I'm tired of mulling. I think it's a reasonable enough keep on the play. On the draw, I might mull. But, like, just going Bob on the play and making them have some way to beat it is good enough for me to take this risk. Anyway, as I was saying, I think Jund is probably just, like, overall a better deck. Oh my god, Eldrazi Temple. Oh, Eldrazi Mimic. Okay, so this is not the usual. I guess this is the colorless Serum Powder build, and I'm very glad of that, because I can Fatal Push this. And then play my Dark Confidant. Ooh, Thoughtseize? Yeah, we need to hit our other lands badly enough that we should play Bob, but Thoughtseize is a good draw, of course. So I think it's going to be hard to put that genie in the bottle. I think as long as Ren and 6 is legal in the format, and until such time as we get, like, a new printing that Rock can leverage a lot better than Jund somehow, we are probably going to be just, like, a slightly worse deck overall than Jund. But there are still lots of matchups where Rock is better, so it's not like a strictly worse thing. Ooh, Eldrazi Obligator. Okay. Is this in the colorless deck? It's just attacking as a 3-1. Yeah, this trade wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if we had the guarantee of lands, but we don't. So I think we have to take the hit here. Alright, let's draw like a fetch land so we can get Goyf big and also Thoughtseize. That's what we need. Painless fetch land off of Bob. We draw Field of Ruin. Ooh, I don't know what to do here. Obviously fielding their temple and then thought seizing is pretty appealing, but then we still don't have green mana. But then the following turn we can go field into Goyf. So I guess that's what we're supposed to do. Thought seize is pretty powerful. But my god, is that awkward. Like, This is the type of thing that's been happening to us this league. These little things just, like, not coming together in any kind of a way that you would see on a regular basis. That's alright. Opponent probably is going to think we're on some kind of mono-black mid-range deck after this move. But that's where we're at. And if Bob sticks, we are, of course, seeing 2 fresh cards as well. So we might not even have to field to fix our mana. Reality Smasher, Serum Powder, so they've got nothing. Very glad we took the Smasher, even though it's a couple turns away from coming down. Alright, so they have 3 basics already. So I think fielding here is pretty good. Taking a little pain off of Bob now. If we could Stone Rain them with this field, that would be amazing. Dang, they've got at least 2 wastes and at least 2 mountains in the deck. It's not good. Not good for us. We could have used that upside there pretty seriously. Because now they've just got more top decks that are live. Oh no, they drew a Dismember. Dude, come on. Come on, that's so bad. That's so bad for us. But, you know, we're the ones seeing 2 cards a turn. They're not. We're still in an okay position. But our position would have been amazing if they hadn't had what I assume is one of their few removal spells. Alright, we flip another Bob. That's pretty awful. And we are just totally screwed by our own mana this game. Let's just attack and see, I guess. I'm sure they won't do anything here, though. My client's lagging all of a sudden. Okay, stop clicking. There we go. Okay, we'll attack. Alright, so, of course, the big risk here is that we play Bob Scoos, the opponent just does nothing. But, like, if we just play Scoos and go, we have to trade the Scoos with Obligator, which is pretty bad. I think playing both Bobs is fine here. Like, we can eat with their triggers on the stack. A couple things with Scoos. There's a couple things in the graveyard to eat. So, obviously, this is pretty bad. We have a million better draws than another Bob there, but this is kind of what we're reduced to. Is this a Ramanop Ruins activation? Probably. Yeah, that's pretty bad. But, again, I think our position is as good as it can be given our top decks, right? They can still go Land Smasher here, in which case we just lose. I'm going to turn off auto-yields just in case I auto-yielded to the Bob trigger, which I don't think I did. Alright, they show us a Prismatic Vista. Okay, so we definitely have to just eat both of these with the triggers on the stack, just so we don't lose. We're less likely to, I guess, to lose to our own Bobs. Obviously, this takes us off of green unless we draw a green land, but this is where we're at. Painless Bob. Okay, Painless. And Painless. Oh, and we draw Plague Engineer? That's the play, guys. Plague Man naming Eldrazi. Wow. Bob coming through in the clutch. That was amazing. I think it's better to just save the life here. Play this tapped. I guess we should save one Bob back in case they draw another Eldrazi Obligator, so we have some kind of blocking potential. I think putting them to 4 here is just as good as putting them to 2. They'd have to first remove Plague Engineer, I guess, for that to matter. But, again, like, there's no way us failing to attack with Bob there loses us the game, that I can tell. Fiery Islet, cracked. Great news for us. Great news for us. We have 2 things to eat on the stack, so hopefully we just don't... I don't think we can lose to our own Bobs going to 7, because our only 4-drop is already in our hand. As long as we eat these 2 things right here, right now. Bobs will flip Goyf, and Liliana the Last Hope. Holy moly, that was close. I can't tell if my client's lagging or the opponent's scooping, because we've been laggy this game, but I think this is scoop. Greatness! Greatness achieved! That was intense, guys. This matchup sucks. Any Eldrazi matchup sucks. But I think because they play low toughness and lower curve things, it's a little bit better for us than E-Tron, certainly. But the stupid infinite value of Serum Powder into Eternal Scourge is what's mega tilting to me. But we'll do our best, and we did take game 1, which is pretty intense. Pretty awesome. So I think Kalidas, Plague Engineer are probably our best cards here. Playing like a board control mid-rangey style of play. I think all this stuff is pretty viable in various ways. I'm not entirely up on... I guess maybe let me take a quick look at a list. Look up Eldrazi Obligator or Eldrazi Mimic to see what I can expect from cards that we didn't see. Because, you know, Fulminator probably we want, but you can also see it being not quite enough. They do play Mono Rocks. Alright, so I'm not seeing too many activated artifacts, just Serum Powder and maybe a Smuggler's Copter. So I don't think we're going to play the Oof. Brutality is just too bad against their big payoffs, probably, to play. I can mess around with the idea of Vraska, though. Let's try to play these 7 cards. I don't know if we'll fit them all in. I'll probably play all 6 discard spells. I'm going to cut a Bob on the draw. We might not have that many cards to bring out. That's our problem. I'm going to cut Unearth. I'm also going to cut a Hex Drinker. I'll explain that in a minute. I think cutting 1 Skoos is fine. We could also just play without Fulminator on the draw. Maybe we'll go for that. Maybe we'll play a more reactive value game. Try not to cheese them out. I think that's reasonable enough to register this. Liliana the Last Hope, a high variance card, especially on the draw, but we'll leave her in. We might rejig if they take us to game 3 and play a pile of Fulminators. So I took out Hex Drinker because I expect them to play Chalice of the Void, and I think on the draw, if we want to hedge a little bit against Chalice on 1, we should leave in our discard and take out, and our pushes, and take out like a Hexy. But Hex Drinker, a fine card in the matchup. That's just what came to me there. Opponent will mulligan for free with Serum Powder, but they don't hit Scourge. This hand is a good on-the-play hand, but we've been doing better keeping functional hands in high resources than we have been mulling this league, so I guess we'll keep it. Scavenger Grounds pass, we draw Inquisition. That's what this hand needed, is a discard spell. Love to see it. Okay, there's that Chalice. So they have a 3-lander with a disgusting top end of Double Smasher Chandra. But no real way to get there any quicker than playing things along curve. So, interesting spot here. Goyf is better at pressuring Chandra and could feasibly survive Chandra early on. But I think I'm supposed to play Bob here to just draw more cards. The other thing about Goyf is it could incentivize them to crack Scavenger Grounds and Stone Rain themselves. But, they're just simply not going to do that until they play their bombs anyway, right? Eternal Scourge, very annoying card. But we are untapping with Bob and just hitting more clunky threats. That's really not where we want to be. So if the opponent drew a 4th land and it makes red, or they drew an Eldrazi Temple, we're in trouble. I guess our play here is simple Tarmogoyf Go. They know about Skoo, so I thought for a minute about playing that, but let's not. Goyf is just kind of better right now. They hit the Eldrazi Temple. Oh, joy, how exciting. Reality Smasher. Am I supposed to double block? I think the answer might be yes. Like, we can't beat these Smashers. I think I'm double blocking, taking a kill while I can, before they get their Scavenger Grounds online. It's pretty bad, but it's still a 2 for 2, because we drew a card off Bob. Hex Drinker. So we could go QB, or we could go Hexy. QB dies to the Chandra, annoyingly, but they need to hit a red land for that. Hex Drinker also going to die to Chandra, so we could play Goyf Skoos, but that's a little soft to the Scavenger Grounds. But Scavenger Grounds wastelanding themselves is not very good either. As you can see, we have a lot of good options here, actually. I think I'm going to opt for the QB. But could really justify any of them. But like if they just sling another Smasher and I can trade QB with it after having done 4 damage, that's like we've 1 for 1'd and then 2 for 2'd the Smashers. Plus we got 4 damage out of it. I think that's probably as good as we can hope for. Yep, happy to make this trade. There's an argument for ignoring it and just racing, actually. Just... Huh. Well... The temptation to trade here is they could draw Dismember, or they could eventually cast Chandra, and then we're just cold the Smasher. Yeah, I think we have to block it. But, what an interesting spot. Okay. Field of Ruin doesn't really do anything for us right now. So I think we want to double spell here with Goyf and Skoos. And if they're priced into using the Scavenger Grounds, well, then our Field of Ruin becomes better after that, because they will have made their own mana worse. So they just untap, trying to draw Chandra mana, I guess. Okay, Thought Knot Seer looks like they found. Yep. That's decent. It's more than decent, specifically because they get to hold up Scavenger Grounds while doing so, so they're operating on 7 mana this turn, virtually. They take Vraska. You know, I don't think it was necessarily clear which one to take. I mean, I'm going to block here, but then they get to put it into exile with Scavenger Grounds, but I might as well kind of do that on my own terms, right? They're going to get this anyway. I think getting it out of the way is just fine, because now our Scooz is a little bit bigger, and we get to go all in on the Hex Drinker, which is arguably better anyway. And now when we do kill the Scourge in combat... Okay, definitely playing... it will not easily be bought back, that's what I mean to say. Okay, so we could field them. I don't want to turn on Dismember by fielding them, though. Like, what if they have a Dismember in hand, and then we just lose our Hex Drinker to it before we can level it up? So I think we're going just about all in on Hexy here. I think attacking here with Scooz is pretty good. Trading with Thought Knot, pretty fine. Okay. Alright, we sure are making them have something. Really still want to fade that red mana for Chandra. Okay, not blocking your Thought Knot, my friend. I will take 4. Nice. Alright, so if we field them, we can still make Hex Drinker in level 8. Alright, let me triple check that. We don't have a million basics in exile. We don't. So are we supposed to field? Do we really even care about Eldrazi Temple anymore? They've got 2 of them. I don't know. No, we don't want to field them because they can get a basic mountain. Okay. Okay. Glad I thought about that. Despite our many mana sinks on the field, I don't envision us needing this Blooming Marsh, so I'm just going to conceal information by sandbagging it. So notably, we do not want to eat the Scourge with Scooz, because then it goes into exile and they can replay it. The only way we would do that is maybe if to save Scooz from a Chandra minus, and then try to just batter through the Scourge again, but they just cashed in their only red land, so they're not going to do that this turn. And I don't know how they can beat a Hexy. But even if they do manage to somehow kill it, we've got a 5/5 Scooz that could become 6/6. And then they'll be at 3. Oh, they found a freaking Blast Zone? No! No! Oh, that's ridiculous. Come on! That's so ridiculous. Well, And we just drew another land. Not very good, guys. Not very good. So I like the fact that they're cracking this right now, which maybe they have to, but now we get to eat this, and we don't have to give them their Eternal Scourge back. So we're going to get to draw a card off the Thought Knot. We draw Fatal Push, which is reasonable. I literally, though, cannot even believe that they drew a Blast Zone. I'm going to eat that Thought Knot now just because it gets us out of Dismember range. We have enough mana to play around with that, but if we activate Field, you could see it going south, potentially. Not that they can cast Dismember at 3 life anyway, so whatever. No reason not to, I guess, right? Did we get there anyway? Is that the concession? Please be the concession. Yes? Yes. Oh, it feels so good, my friends, to beat any Eldrazi deck. Those were 2 pretty intense matches. Honestly, the gameplay there is a lot more reasonable than it is out of Eldrazi-tron. So maybe I shouldn't hate that deck so much. I just hate the infinite value loop, as I explained with Scourge, right? But hey, Scavenging Ooze and Hexdrinker. I hope you understand why I aggressively threw away my Tarmogoyf, because my plan all along was to go all in on the Hexdrinker, and that allowed us to really have it all our own way, basically. If we had that Scavenger Grounds hanging over our head the entire time, our Skoos as a supplement to the Hexdrinker gets a lot worse, and we also have to hold up mana more than just main phase sinking it all in. Our trend of, just lands not functioning in our opening hands continues, though, here in round 4. This one's gotta be a mull. It's not even a very good disruptive hand. Opponent mulled as well. This one's better. This one will keep. I guess probably priced into bottoming Treetop Village, as bad as that is. Because we want to be able to turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 2 Goyf, and we also want double black. Also, Castle Lochthwain is, in theory, just as good of a utility land as the Treetop is. Yeah, we'll see you later, apes. Hope you guys are having fun with me. We are here in round 4. While we are in round 4, I would love to direct you to the description of this video, where you can find my channel's official sponsor, an independent artist and all-around very cool guy, very talented guy, Brian Palmer of BrianPalmerArt.com. He's got tokens, he's got playmats, he's got commissions. It's all the good stuff you need if you're a Magic the Gathering player. And you get a 10% off discount code. The code is GrimFlayerMTG. Links and info, all of the above mentioned in the description below. Thanks to everybody checking that out. Okay, we're against whatever Titan deck this is. Could honestly be either Amulet or Titan Field. Slightly more likely to think Titan Field when I see Dryad, but of course Amulet plays that too. I don't know what to take here. If we had a kill spell for Dryad, I'd just take the Pact. But Dryad is actually a big problem for us in a variety of ways. It makes other draws better. I think we have to take Dryad. Notably, it also grows the Tarmogoyf to a pretty ridiculous level. So we take their blocker and we grow the Goyf. It's just the most proactive thing to do overall. Hey, we draw another discard spell, we're in business. But it's got to be kind of right now. Oh, they found Amulet of Vigor. Yikes. Yep, now we need to find a kill for that, and we kind of do with Assassin's Trophy. You know what? What if we just play Tarmogoyf and say go try to tag a bounce land with the trophy next turn? Like, I don't think hitting Breeding Pool or indeed hitting Amulet itself is particularly good. Let's just get our threat down. And maybe if they, like, try to use the Pact and then they don't have enough lands to pay for it if we trophy a land, that could be a hilarious win condition, but I don't really expect that to happen. Might depend on what their top deck is. Obviously, if they find, like, a Zusa or the Dryad, we're probably just going to die here, because they can make a bunch of lands and then go get Titan. But, oops. Okay, Bounce Land has been deployed. Opponent kind of tanking about what to do here. Alright, they return Forest, sure. Then just nothing. Ooh, Liliana. Yeah, I think we still need to hit the dual land here. And sadly, we cannot play a Hex Drinker if we do so. So it's not very mana efficient, but I suppose that is still our best line. Like, we don't want to just let them do their thing. Although, like, if they have only lands in hand, which there's one unknown, I'm not taking the lands away because they'll go back and forth, so we might as well keep them all there. There's one unknown. They have Forest, Cavern, Pact, one unknown. Do we want to go for Liliana here? Like, they only have 3 mana on the field. I think they kind of need to draw something pretty crazy to punish us. And then next turn, no matter what we draw, we can go Unearth Trophy. Like, we'll play Lily, take up, pick Hexy, go Unearth Trophy. I think I'm going to go for the Liliana here. I just think they have enough lands in hand that, like, playing scared of this one land when they don't have the accelerants like Azusa or Dryad around is not really the thing to do. But I could be wrong. You know, we do get punished with certain draws for this, no question. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing here that the opponent's tanking. You know, maybe they think they have a line to go off this turn. They have Valakut. Alright. We have QB, which is a fine draw just because it's dead right now, and we want something dead to pitch to Lily. So, sure. So if we what am I trying to say? Oh no, they do have an instant in the yard, yes. So trophying the turf now does not make sense. I think we should do it on their draw step. If only we could unearth that QB, that would have been pretty nice. But we will unearth Hexy instead. which is still fine. It does actually give us lethal next turn. If we have the ability to sink mana into it. You know what? Why don't we just trophy now? I don't know what risks are involved of letting them go to their draw step. I know the only real upside is hopefully they don't have a forest to draw, but I don't think that's realistic at this stage of this particular game. So let's just play it a little safer, do that, and make them have a way to stay alive here. Boom, 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 boom. So if they just like make a blocker, we can edict it. If they have some kind of like a half go off turn, ooh, Castle Garenbrig. Well, that would have been Titan this turn if we hadn't done it last turn. I mean, we're clearly going for lethal right now, so let's just tick up first. Xaxes. Guys, once again, Unearth, crucial to our efficiency in the early turns when we're racing. It helped us beat Burn Game 1. It helped us in round 2 at least once, maybe twice, and it helped us beat Titan here. Now, we still might side it out just because it's like a more conditional card. Like, it was only live there because we +1'd with Lily and then bought something back super efficiently. But still, big showcase here for good old Unearth. And we are against good old Amulet Titan, not Titan Field. Amulet Titan's a cooler deck. I hate Titan Field. Amulet Titan's a little bit rough to face too sometimes, don't get me wrong. But, yeah, certainly a little bit cooler than Titan Field if you ask me. I think we're interested in slamming these 6 cards in no matter what, and then these could all play a role. Oof could be a little bit better than Skoos if they're playing like a critical mass of activated artifacts, but you don't know what they're on anymore. Like, it seems like Coalition Relic and Walking Ballista are not as common. EE is still probably around. Maybe that's even not as common, though. And then Vraska's just very slow and doesn't deal with her top end. But you know, if you're disrupting, she can be a good value piece. And then finally, Plague Engineer can just beat Field of the Dead and maybe trade with their big stuff in a weird game, but the stuff's all kind of medium. So I think we want to cut 1, possibly 2 copies of Fatal Push. I think we want to cut 1, possibly 2 copies of Skoos. I think we are going to cut our Unearth. I think we are going to cut our Liliana the Last Hope. Everything else is at least respectable. Abrupt Decay can be a little bit medium, but it's better these days with Dryad around, so maybe we are supposed to leave 2 in. I think we should play with lots of Plague Men or none, and right now I'm leaning toward none, especially on the draw. So let's cut Plague Engineer, and let's err on the side of leaving pushes in because we really got to kill a turn 1 Tribe Scout on the draw. I don't know if they'll leave them in against us, but some pilots do, some do not. I think this is pretty reasonable sideboarding in the dark, and then we can, of course, recalibrate for Game 3. But hopefully there won't be a Game 3, am I right? Well, we've got our push. We've also got our Thoughtseize if we don't need to push. And we've got Goyf into Fulminator after that. Definite keep. It could still quite easily not be enough on the draw, but... Gotta fade Veil of Summer here. That's the first thing we need to fade, and we do. Alright, they got Summoner's Pact. It's worth considering just taking that straight up, because it's good against our Liliana. That said, this Beast Within is highly annoying. They could just Beast Within us on the play and take us off the third land. But then we're beaten down with a Beast. I don't know. If I had more lands, I wouldn't care about the Beast Within, but because we're on the draw with only a 2-lander, it's gotta be either Beast or Summoner's Pact. I think we're going to take the Pact, and we're just going to play Goyf next turn, and then even if they land destruction us out, maybe we can just win with the Goyf, because they're struggling to find their payoffs. But Beast Within is some spice. I guess it's an out to Ashiok, probably more than anything. We draw the third land anyway, no big deal. Let's conceal that Field of Ruin, though. Let's play a goat. They do have Dismember to beat the Tarmogoyf, so maybe wind back what I just said there a little bit, right? But, you know, I think it's all still fine. I think what we're up to is all still pretty fine. And they're not going to Beast Within us this turn, so this is amazing. We get to Fulminator that dual land, and then go on the Liliana plan the following turn. I think that's the appropriate sequencing here. Let's attack first. Maybe we get 2 free points of damage in if they decide to wait and see with their Dismember. Nope. We'll see you later, Golgari Rot Farm. Definitely doing it while they're tapped out for fear of Veil of Summer. So they do have another bounce land in the form of Simic Growth Chamber, but if that's their play, then they're vulnerable to another Fulminator that we might draw. Seriously vulnerable, otherwise just vulnerable to this other stuff. Instead, they run out the Foothills, which makes more sense. Liliana number 2, I guess we're just jamming Lily and pitching the extra copy. Could also pitch Fatal Push. They cannot even pact for a Baloth and pay for the pact, so as long as they didn't naturally draw one, we should be in a pretty great spot. You know, I think I actually do pitch Fatal Push here. They Beast Within our Liliana, we'll just play another one. And we get a bounce land out of their hand? Alright, I didn't really expect that, but fair. So it's turn 5, an opponent is about to make their third mana, I assume. They go Ghost Quarter. Ghost Quarter, pass. Alright. Slow rolling the Beast Within a little bit, I guess makes sense. But Ashiok? Yeah. Yeah, I dig it, I dig it. I'm thinking about pitching Skoos here and just going all in on the Planeswalker plan. Let's tick up and see what happens. What is this? They're Beast Withining in response to our +1. That cannot be correct. Yeah, we'll pick Skoos, and then we'll just get Ashiok down and play another Liliana next turn. I mean, if you're going to beast it, you should do it on our turn to stop that activation, right? How useful is milling here? Some people have pointed out that maybe I don't mill as often as I should. We could also mill ourselves, but there's not that many graveyard synergies in our deck after siding. Just deciding whether or not we want to mill. Sure, I think milling them once is a free roll. That's probably all I'll do. And they don't have any creatures to eat anyway. And we don't have a Skoos anymore anyway. Do we only have one in the deck? Yes, so no more Skoos for us. So that didn't matter much. Could make a Goyf a little smaller, but we've got a healthy graveyard over here for sure. The only bad thing, though, is that made us soft to drawing a Tarmogoyf and then them finding Bajukabog, but whatever. That's a pretty corner case thing, you gotta say. Tireless Tracker is actually one of the scariest things they could find. I assume this was a top deck. We can Edict it, but it does price us into the Edict, and then they're getting value, so it's not good. OP just probably deciding which land to play. We know they have a castle in hand. That's what they play, sure. Goyf. Alright. We're still gonna go Liliana Edict, but maybe they'll just block. Alright, please don't have a Titan after all this. We can't just let the Tireless Tracker go uncontested, though. They would need to have untapped land Titan. It's really unlikely. Instead, they have a cracked clue. Gotta turn off auto yields while this Ghost Quarter is around, in case they do something weird like Ghost Quarter or Field while we're tapped out. So then we might want to crack Peatland. Ooh, opponent spicily making a Peatland of their own off of Vesuva. It's pretty sweet. Okay, drawing a land here is pretty fine. Just get the free Liliana asymmetrical action going. But only if we tap green mana to deploy our Tarmogoyf. They get rid of another Castle Garenbrig. So I'm sure we're probably supposed to field something this turn. You could see Breeding Pool to make their colors worse. You could see Garenbrig so they can't top deck a Titan. And have... I think we need to hit Garenbrig. You could also see hitting Peatland, but like if they Stone Rain themselves to draw, I think that's pretty good. Once again, I prefer main phasing it for a couple reasons here. Partially because the opponent was pretty clearly F6'd, and partially because I don't think we've seen any basics yet. So yeah, they haven't seen a single basic until that field activation, so there was no chance that we're going to catch them without a basic to fetch by waiting till their draw step. If we can grow the Goyf by 1, we'll have lethal. Which, if we can manage to, like, if they play a creature, we Edict it with Liliana, that's lethal. Because we've got land... Oh no, there's already a Walker. so we would need something less. If they play an enchantment creature, if they play that Dryad and we Edict, that's lethal. So if the opponent is hip to that, and they draw one, they shouldn't play it. Ooh, EE on 2. But interesting that they're doing it on 2 and not on 3, but that's another way they'd just be dead if they didn't, so I get it. The game goes on, though. The game goes on. And they have 6 lands now as well, and we draw a dead card. Inquisition, huh? Let's crack a Peatland. Fatal Push, another relatively dead card. I'm considering milling once again with Ashiok here. A problem is if they find the Dryad, but they can't find them both this turn. They could Ghost Quarter themselves, maybe. I think milling is slightly risky now. I don't want to die to a single Valakut trigger for Ashiok. I just don't think we gain that much from milling. It's kind of a roll of the dice. Will we exile good stuff or bad stuff? Like, they are a bit of a combo deck, so against combo decks you have higher incentive to blindly mill. But when you're shutting off a significant part of the combo with Ashiok, I'm just not going to risk it. Alright, a crack of Nurturing Peatland. It's pretty good news for us on the whole. But it's also a pretty good thing for them to do. If they don't have anything else going on. Concession! They technically had another turn, but I guess they feel they can't beat Liliana and Ashiok. Well, guys, we got just, like, super, super unlucky as far as I would say from my sitting in the pilot seat against Burn game round 1. We've been cruising ever since. Taking down some tough matchups. Amulet Titan, certainly a tough one. We're 3-1. We're 3-1. Back to basics. Back on good old rock. As you can see by 0 trophies, I have not 5-0'd since the new season began. Whoops, I'm also spilling my coffee here. That's not good. But my win rate's been awesome. People say mid-range is poorly positioned. I kind of understand why. You know, there's a lot of predators out there for it, but you've got to play your hate pieces for big mana, and you've got to play a shell that can hang with a lot of other things. Like, with Rock, we can more naturally hang with Burn, so we don't have to dedicate that many slots to them. With Jund, you can more naturally hang with the opposing fair decks, so you don't have to dedicate as many slots to them. Things like that. You load down on your big mana hate, maybe some critical massive grave hate too, other things, and I think mid-range is still pretty good. My win rate, admittedly, on prowess has been a little bit higher, but so yeah, haven't managed to 5-0, and we're obviously not doing it here, but it's been like all 3-2s and 4-1s, with an emphasis on the 4-1s and just very few exceptions. Just 1 or 2 negative leagues mixed in with the rest rather. So I'm happy. I hope you're happy with the cashed league, Alan, and let's try to get you a 4-1, my friend. Hand's fine. Hand is fine. Wish we were on the play, but the hand is fine. Okay, Cavern of Souls. Naming human, I bet. Naming snake. Oh, well, never mind. I thought we were going to have a fun one at the end. It's another big mana deck. Great. How awesome. But you know what? We've got an okay hand against it. Again, play would be way better here. Got a couple fields. Got a couple things to do, but not being able to kill the Tribe Scout really sucks. And look at this nut draw. 3-land Azusa Titan Pact. Really? Really? I guess we have to hope they don't draw any more lands. They're just taking Titan. Maybe there's a world in which we can cheese them out with Field of Ruin if they go for the Pact early enough. But again, we'd probably have to be on the play to pull that off, but we'll see. We'll see what they draw here. We'll see what goes on. They found Once Upon a Time. Okay. For Castle Garen Brigg. You got it. Oh, man. Our mana's killing us right now. Absolutely killing us. Are we supposed to play Bob? I guess fielding is roughly as good as trophying, so why don't we play Bob? Something proactive to do. Hope we draw an untapped colored land of some kind next turn. I'm just sick of puzzling it out against these big mana decks, so I'm just jamming my creature and hoping it's good. But we're in some trouble. The fact they found a land off Once Upon a Time is what we wanted to fade. So fielding and trophying alike are both awkward in the face of an untapped Tribe Scout, but we've drawn Fatal Push. First thing I'm going to do here is offer the trade. There's got to be no way they take it, but we'll offer it. So Castle Lochthwain is the land they know about, but annoyingly it does come in tapped. So I guess the thing we're probably supposed to do is play Field of Ruin so we're bluffing it, so they can't really tap their Scout. But really, we're not going to field. Unless they do tap their Scout, then we'll field. We're just going to probably Fatal Push it. So our mana's been horrendous this league. That's been like the biggest downside. It's one of the strengths of the deck. We've got the utility. Okay. Why don't we field while they're tapped out here? I didn't think they would. And we'll get a swamp and we'll let them choose how to sequence before we decide to push. We do have a stop on our own end step, so we should be fine to do this. So they're just going to go off with Azusa anyway, but this is still better than I think we could have hoped for. I think the opponent is probably a little bit better off just not using their Scout then and there, but I could obviously be wrong. And I guess if they have these bounce lands in hand... No, they don't have the bounce land, that's right, but they drew another forest. Okay. Whatever. So that's gone, that's gone, that's gone. They have a Pact in hand. And we've got a trophy to beat the Titan. And they know about it, so we drew another one. Let's attack with Bob. We'll offer a trade here, because we can always unearth him. Once again, our mana just really sucks, because the only thing that we can play that would let us double spell is Castle Lock Thwain. And maybe we're still supposed to. And we're not even double spelling, though. We're fielding and then trophying. So part of me wants to just get the Treetop Village down. But, like, even here on turn 4, after drawing some lands, we still, like, I would love to just go Goyf and hold up Trophy. But we can't. But we can't. How good is just straight up fielding Castle Garenbrig right now? Is that actually something that I should do? Maybe that's something we do. Maybe we just main phase field this castle. Or we should draw step field the castle. Because they already have 3 basics. Alright, then we get to fix our mana a bit. Sure, let's take that line. Maybe we cheese them out with no basic to get. That would be epic. Not really expecting it, but... And if they don't have a basic to get, or even if they do, maybe we just Trophy Cavern trying to Stone Rain them. Let's see if they get one. They do. Alright. How many basics do we think they play? Oh, man. I don't think I can justify trophying a Cavern of Souls here, can I? Maybe I can, because they have just... like... I mean, we have another trophy where that came from, right? But the problem is, if they do resolve a Titan anyway, then we're going to need to trophy, like, the Field of the Dead or something. So, as nice as that would be, I don't think we're supposed to do it. I think we made them have the 4th basic and not have drawn it. I think that's good enough. I think that's good enough. Like, it would be super risky to just try again and not have it. They tap this for a monk creature spell. That's not what you need. Undo, undo. Yep. Oh, they just had a natural Titan too? And they still have a pact in hand. Guys, this is brutal. This is brutal. Now we have so much more to deal with. But if we draw Thoughtseize or Liliana, we can deal with it effectively. And we are going to see 2 cards off of Bob, so please, deck, give us this lifeline. Or maybe they tutor a bounce land with Primeval Titan to protect their Summoner's Pact from a Liliana +1. That would be a pretty interesting line. I'm not a Titan player, but I'm just saying them as I see them. They get Radiant Fountain, Field of the Dead. Sure. Azusa getting busy, hitting us for 1. Trophy the Titan here on the end step to be mana efficient. It's not going to trigger Field of the Dead because they already have Snow Covered and Basic Forest if they have a 5th one to get, which they don't. Interesting. Good to know. And we draw Thoughtseize. Yes. Yes, a win for the good guys. See you later, Summoner's Pact. Opponent in total top deck mode. Now, are we supposed to just trophy this main? That's my only question. We trophy Field of the Dead now? We're a little soft to another top deck Titan. Or Pact. But if we don't, they have a much wider range of things that are good, including those Titans and Pacts are still very good. So yeah, why don't we trophy the field, play a Goyf. And we still kind of have a long way to go to kill them. We've only connected with Bob now for the third time or whatever. They gain 2 life off Radiant Fountain. Some of their draws will let them loop that a little bit. They draw a 1-1 instead. We can beat that. Okay, we're playing QB and maybe finding something even better to do. Another Tarmogoyf seems fine. Unfortunately, we cannot cast it. Because, once again, our mana super awkward. Super awkward. But what we can do is if they trade something with a Bob here, we can unearth him, which I think we'll probably do. Instead, they will chump block the Goyf. All right. So, they are facing lethal even if they chump block the Goyf again unless they put something else together because, once again, Treetop Village represents Xaxes. Concession. Guys, we're doing it. We're doing it. Love to see it. Now we just got to win one of the post-side games where our life is a little bit easier. Still not a good matchup, but hey. But hey, we are staying competitive. How good are these trophies and fields, by the way? This is, you know, some people say that Rock is not appreciably better than Jund against this matchup. You know, sometimes our effects like that are not enough, obviously. And sometimes you just, you know, like, disrupt just enough to get there with your clock, and Jund's clock is better. But sometimes you actually draw, like, a critical mass of fields and trophies, and they just win the game for you if you use them correctly, right? So, I'm pretty tired. I don't remember how we sided. I think we were saying no Plague Men on the draw. And Unearth, Last Hope, these things can go, maybe cut a Scooz or two, and cut like one Fatal Push. I think this is pretty good. And the things we were also considering were Oof is maybe a slightly better Scooz, but I think the first Scooz is probably better than the first Oof. Vraska's decent. Plague Men are fine if you're trying to use them to beat Field. And to beat Hornet Queen for that matter, but I think on the draw I like this. Like this well enough to hit submit deck. And let us hope, my friends, that we just run over the top of them here in Game 2. Round 5, Game 2. OP keeping 7. Not a good sign. Our hand would be amazing on the play. On the draw, it's a little slow, but I don't think we can throw it back. This is kind of the story of our league in some ways. We are keeping hands that just kind of like do the things we want to do, but they maybe don't disrupt as aggressively in some cases as they should. When they keep 7 with Amulet on the play, we start getting a lot less optimistic about our chances, right? But it is possible they just kept a lands and spells hand. They don't have the nut draw. Well, it's looking like they probably have the nut draw. Second Amulet into Submit Growth Chamber. Whatever. If this is going to happen, it might as well be while they're on the play. Because we're pretty unfavored then anyway. Okay, they make 4 mana on turn 2, which gets them Dryad. Yup. Into Tribe Scout. Yup. Okay, we're just all in on them having no payoff. We're severely dead if they do triple Amulet. Woo! Scary, scary stuff. Well, Tarmogoyf is an 0-1, so I guess I'm going to play Dark Confidant and pass the turn. Alright, well, Thoughtseize was kind of the draw I was hoping for there, because again, we're just utterly destroyed in the face of a payoff. Okay, they play a land. There's only one card. Do they have it? If they don't have it, it'll be interesting. Obviously, it'll depend on what we draw, but, like, playing Ashiok is not good as a hedge against their payoffs, as it normally would be, because we cannot protect it. Our Bob doesn't block the Dryad. And Bob trading with Scout is a little depressing, too. So I think we're probably supposed to play a Liliana, or just play a Fulminator Mage. How about that? How about that draw? The problem with it, though, is they could be holding up a Sakura Tribe Scout activation. So it's possible we should play Liliana of the Veil instead. But the problem there is they could be holding up an Obstinate Baloth. So this is a pretty serious judgment call here. I'm honestly liking Liliana. I think it's overall the safest line. Obviously, any of these lines are subject to getting blown out. None of them are perfect because they do have this board, right? Yeah, they had a land. So, you know what? I'm happy I didn't go for the Fulminator. We would have gotten blown out. Nevertheless, it is an asymmetrical Liliana activation, which is not the greatest. I think I'm going to pitch one of our Ashioks, as strange as that is. Like, I'm incentivized to empty out the hand. I want to keep these lands around. And I'm going to trade Bob with Tribe Scout if they both attack. So I'll sit back. Alright, well, the opponent, at least we can say we put them in total top deck mode. Obviously, if they top deck any payoff, they just instantaneously win the game. But, like, if we manage to trade here... Yeah, okay, I like this. Because then we can Edict and play Ashiok and be reasonably safe. Unless they have it this turn. Now they have a land. Cool. Alright, yeah, it's time to Edict... And it's a safe time to play Fulminator. That's the thing, though. It's a safe time to play Fulminator Mage. How good is hitting a Growth Chamber versus simply getting Ashiok down? I don't know. They can still Pact, but they can't really... They can pay for the Pact, actually. But they can't fetch with Ashiok, but they'll fetch in response. Another super judgment call. I think I'm going to jam the Fulmi, though. Hex Drinker is a draw that I don't mind in the least. Because we can play it this turn. It's something good, proactive to do. Alright, so opponent is now down to 4 mana instead of 6, which is much safer for us. Next turn we get to go Ashiok Tarmogoyf. Smack him with the Savannah Lions. They drew a land. It's honestly a pretty good draw for them. They do need to hit those after all. But we've got a lot of good stuff going on, to make no mistake. Thoughtseize, a pretty bad draw, but yeah, it could become live at some point, right? I don't think we're milling here. We've got enough good stuff in their graveyard to grow the Goyf that we're just going to say, go. Is this an engineered explosives on 3? It sure is. Wow. Well, well. Okay. So now it's race time. They only have 1 turn, I think, to draw out of it, because we're going to 2-turn... We got them on a 2-turn clock here. How good is Field of Ruin right now? We can field 1, 2, 3. Still put Hex Drinker to level 4 or 5, whatever that is. It's got to be pretty good. We could also crack Peatland, but I don't think I'm going to. I think taking care of the breeding pool is pretty fine. At this point, each graveyard is pretty decent for Goyf, so just taking away like their best mana producing land at this point is pretty fine. What I mean by that is if they like hit a bounce land so they can loop Jukabog. Don't lag on me now, client. Don't lag on me now. Alright, opponent down to 8. They've got lethal coming their way even without a Hex Drinker. They top deck Once Upon a Time. So they could find a blocker here, extend the game by 1 turn. But our position would still be pretty good after that. They cannot really find an out, as far as I know. Only kind of answer cards in creature form are probably things like Reclamation Sage, which don't do it against our fat green threats. I wonder if they could find a Blast Zone off of Once Upon a Time. That would also buy them 1 turn. Okay, opponent. Keeping us in suspense here. I'm feeling pretty good about it. But, I mean, what possible decision could they be making? I think they're just kind of accepting their fate, and then this appears to be concession lag, and... is it? It sure is, my friends. Well, my streak continues. My streak continues. We are playing just at the top tables here. We are hanging with the very best of them overall. Amulet Titan is like the deck to beat in the format. It's a bad matchup for mid-range. We just 2-0'd them back-to-back. Feels great. And yeah, as I mentioned, I continue going really positive. Having a really high win rate, but just like having one thing go wrong to deny the 5-0. That is okay. I think if I could play as much as some of the trophy leaders play, we'd get plenty of 5-0s, but instead, I'm very content to just basically have gone infinite at this point with playing leagues for free and making profit on top of that, getting good results, showing people that BG the Rock and other BGX mid-range decks are still very, very viable in the year of our Lord 2020. So there we go, guys. I'm a little bit too beat to do a coherent write-up, or a wrap-up here. Can't even speak coherently any longer. I don't know, like, I think the shining stars of this league, certainly in the latter half, were the main deck land destruction effects of Field of Ruin and Assassin's Trophy. Sometimes these cards are really clunky. Sometimes they lose us the game, but sometimes they win us the game, and this is certainly an example of the latter. Unearth was also amazing. We got to give props to Unearth, so maybe we're going to do a quadrant of 4 cards for the thumbnail here, the trophy, the field, the unearth, and then something else. I don't know, Hex Drinker was pretty awesome here. Maybe we put Hexy on there. We'll have to see. But anyway, Alan, thank you once again for your support, my friend, and thanks for redirecting my focus to a stock Golgari mid-range list. I know a lot of this is how I built my channel. It's not that I've deliberately chosen not to play it. I don't think it's bad or anything. It's just that I've had so many other things to play lately that my core focus has been a little bit on the back burner. So good to bring that into sharp relief here and show you how it's done, my friends, with BG the Rock. I'm pretty happy with my play, but as always, I can't see everything while I'm live commentating. So if you have any suggestions about the list, about sideboarding, any lines you want to mention that I missed, please, my friends, I love to hear from you in that comment section, so there we go. Welcome once again to our newest Inquisitor, Patreon supporter, Steven, and thanks again to Alan Lambert, a very generous Of the Veil tier supporter. If you guys like this content, the more money I make off of it, frankly, I hate to reduce it to that, but that's kind of where my incentives are with the rest of my life, balancing this with work and family. The more money I make, the more support I get, the larger my channel grows, which can just be getting more views on the channel too. These are all the metrics by which I can justify dedicating more time to the content. So if you are enjoying this content, you want to see it grow, you want to see more of it, patreon.com/GrimFlayerMTG. That's the very best way to do it. I love and appreciate everybody doing that. You get access to monthly scouting reports at any tier of support, and your privileges go up as you ascend the ranks with higher tiers of support. Finally, every dollar you donate does accumulate toward earning donation leagues. When you hit a $50 donation threshold, you qualify for a free donation league. It's not free because you paid me for it, but it's already something you're doing to support the channel. And then you get that donation league as a reward, basically. So anybody interested in that, check out the description where you can also find my sponsor. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. Thanks again, Alan. I hope everybody enjoyed this league, and stay tuned because we've got more donation leagues coming up this month. We've got a Clothis, however you say it, Jund donation list coming up. Not really built around Clothis, just playing it as a one-of and more or less a stock Jund list with Skoos without Kroxa. Little bit more green-oriented, and not finally, but in addition to that, we are, I think, playing some Abzan Stoneblade for the first time in a long time. So do stay tuned, my friends, and I will talk to you soon. Hope everybody out there has a wonderful day.